Folks, I've got a very big surprise for you. This gentleman right in front of me is the well-aged, well-preserved, and very enthusiastic Coco Montoya. He's 71 years young. I'm 49, so I feel like a little kid talking to this very big man. Um, there is one question that comes to mind because after doing research and finding out about you, I've been following you since I started doing blues on the radio for 25 years. And
Wow.
the one thing that I didn't know, and I apologize for this, is that I didn't know you were part of the John Mayall and the Blues Breakers
Yeah, it sure was for 10 years.
for 10 years. And how long ago was that?
I think I first got in with John, I think it was like May of 84,
Oh, nice.
1984, yeah.
And I also found out that you're happily married with Leonora Montoya.
Yeah,
Uh,
Lenora, yes.
and behind a great bluesman, there's always a great blueswoman, a woman that supports, so on and so forth. But it makes for great writing, especially when you're in a good couple. I would like to know how you came up with your latest album. The writing's on the wall, with also the last track being titled as such. Did you actually write it during COVID, or was it just before or just after?
Well, that song, I co-wrote that first, starting with a great writer, Mr. Dave Steen, who's also featured on this album.
Okay.
Dave and we had it for a while. We just forgot about it. We set it on the shelf and never finished the song. And then when this project came up, we started looking through old stuff that we'd started and never finished, and or whatever. We don't, we just stop, and sometimes we end up with stuff that's left over and comes back later, and it's clear to see. And we brought it in with Jeff Paris, my keyboard player and the co-producer of this latest album. And he brought in a verse and a bridge to it, and that's how we ended up completing the song. But me and Dave had been sitting on it for quite a few years.
And how did the album come about? That was a song from the album, but how long did you take to actually create the album from start to finish? I'm assuming some of the songs were probably partially or fully written, just sitting waiting to be used.
Not, yeah, partially written. There was a couple of them that were written by Jeff Paris and also Dave Steen, that were already done, and there was their songs, and we'd been thinking about it. The whole process, we're ashamed to say, took a year. It should have taken a year, but we had conflicts with time and who was available at what time and where.
Mhm.
I don't think that's going to happen again. But yeah, it was a something that we knew we had to get into, and with Jeff Paris coming into my band and playing with my band, and he brings a lot of incredible stuff when he comes in. He's a great singer. He's an incredible guitar player, keyboard player, and a well-documented writer. He's written some incredible songs. So yeah, it all just came to places there, and we just did our homework, and actually we were lucky to have the time to do our homework.
So during during the pandemic that's still going on as we speak,
Yeah,
we're lucky
yeah,
that
maybe it is.
we are lucky that we're not being affected. But for you as a touring performer, is it causing you any conflict or any hardship?
Uh, I don't think so. I think the two times I've had COVID now since we became aware of COVID, it was like a flu. It was just a cold, pretty much for me, body aches and stuff. But um, No, I think we got to a place in our mind that we were ready to continue when the world was ready to continue.
Okay.
Having
And
to
are
wait
you?
for that time was a little, a little bit daunting to sit there and wait for this business, get
Yeah.
people not to be afraid to go out.
Well, there's that. But mostly the venues that most musicians were going to on a normal basis, and the presenters that they were going to as well, were having issues trying to make sure everything was a-okay. I know here in Canada, it's mostly when they relaxed the COVID restrictions at that point, then things started trickling, and everything seems to be running the same way as it was, except certain parts of the U.S. where they've got some recent growth of the cases, but here in Canada, it's almost the same thing. Just to give you an example, my stepson fell ill with COVID, and he was visiting us 2 days prior, and he started showing symptoms after going to his dad's, and now his dad is sick, and we're monitoring ourselves to make sure that we don't end up being ill. But I contracted COVID way back when, during the pandemic, once at the very least, and I don't know if I got it
Uh,
second time. Same with my wife and my pretty much everyone in the family except the cats. They're the ones
yeah,
that
some of
are
our
immune.
cats too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Our cats just haven't come up with it yet, but
Yeah.
no,
So,
I think that's kind of the way it did for us. It just was just an infection that made us feel like a flu and a cold, and we waited. And I thought it was just getting kind of crazy, especially here in the United States. I mean, it was one minute they were telling you wear a mask, and the next minute they're telling you don't wear a mask, and that's the people are telling you, do this, take this. No, don't take that. It won't help. Yeah, it will help. No, it won't help. It will help. It was craziness. So
well,
so far my experience with it, I'm surviving.
I'm happy that you survived it. Unfortunately, we've lost some musical artists, both in
Oh
Canada, the
yeah,
U.S., and worldwide, that were affected, unfortunately, by it. Now, during during the creation of the album, have you? I'm assuming that you're touring right now with this material plus your old greats that are all available through the streaming services, through your website for those that want to buy either vinyl or CDs. I'm assuming that you probably have done vinyl at one point.
yeah. We actually this is the first time we've ever had vinyl on any of my projects, any of my CDs, albums, or whatever you want to call it. It's really unique for me. It takes me back as I was a kid. I still have a big album collection that I love it. So yeah, we definitely will be selling vinyl on the road. We're heading out next week for a good 6 weeks long. We're going to be on the tour. We're coming to Toronto. That's our only Canadian date at this point, but we're definitely going to do that. And
Well, one point in Canada is better than none. But one of these days, we'd like you out on the East Coast, which is in the Maritimes. I'm
yes,
completely far from Maine, but we share borders, so it's not that far of a trek. Now you're in California, so that means that you either
yes,
fly and then have access to a touring vehicle, or are you using a van to tour? Because I remember
we're
now,
using a
folks,
van.
just to give you a perspective of why I'm actually mentioning this, it's only because Coco's agent contacted me to tell me that the date that we had originally said had to be put off, which is fine because we're doing it during the same week. But he had to bury a dear friend. His original touring van broke down, and he had to move it. And the only time that he could was um, Wednesday instead of Thursday. That's the only time that he actually had. So did you? I hope
Yeah,
that went well.
well, it went all day, but it got done yesterday. I had to go up to Monterey, California, pick up the van and remove it from a Ford dealership and put it over at a friend's house, and we'll deal with it later. At least right now, it's not a problem to anybody. And had to run out and get another van, and it's kind of what happens in this business, especially at this level.
I can imagine.
Uh, yeah.
So, do you have any particular coping mechanisms when you actually go out on the road? Because I know that it tends to be taxing on certain levels, but everyone has their own coping mechanism, if you will.
Yeah, I think I do. I think they've changed over the years. I mean, back in the day, I mean, my coping mechanism was alcohol, and which I don't do that anymore. So now it's just concentrating on the show, getting the show, as good as we can get it. It's kind of my goal. Do that, and to try and get as much rest as I can. At 71 years old, I definitely need to get back to the hotel room and get some rest. It's a little easier to cope with the road now, just because you're just calm. You're more calm now at my age, and not looking for very much out there. Just a good meal and a good show. Have some fun, and not take it all too crazy serious. Yeah, I'm not some 23-year-old kid trying to, become the next MTV star, So
Oh, that's good.
it's yeah, the music is the most important thing. Is enjoying the music and having fun with the band members, and of
Yeah,
course, hopefully, the audience comes along with us.
well, they definitely do. I know that unfortunately I haven't had the privilege of actually going to one of your shows, but just listening to the music itself brings me back to oodles of memories tied to the songs, and the same happens with your fans for those that have known you for many years. Um, the fact that, folks, if you want to see Coco in action, all his life, you can see most of his shows by people that have taken videos and posted them on YouTube, but you will get a sense of how energetic and how calm he is compared to his earlier self. Now he's doing it full. No, no, it's true, but in a good way, because now it's almost as if all the previous Cocos have built a solid stage for your performances, and have allowed you to actually just be happy about what you're doing and be calm and be contented. And then at the end of the day, you go and have a good meal, have some relaxation. Do you, when you're doing your touring, do you plan on going full throttle, or is it more like one date here, one day off, another date here?
No, we've got still we the same as we've been all these years. I mean, they will have 6 shows in a row, 7 shows in a row sometimes.
Hmm.
And you got to be ready for that. And there'll be other days where we'll have the day off and you mend and rest and relax your voice and things like that. Uh, we try not to overdo it, but definitely it's still the road. It's still the blues. It's still you have to go out there and hit the road hard. It's
Uh, I
just
can I can
there's
imagine.
not really much difference since from when my Mayall days, my Albert Collins days.
The one thing that comes to mind is that there's, as a human being, not just as a musician, but as a very wise human being, you probably have hobbies that you like to dabble with other than music, other than tweaking your guitar, other than writing lyrics and whatnot. You probably have other things that you like to do, either reading or something else. Do you have anything in particular that you bring along?
Well, yeah, no, there's really not a lot that I do, and I think about it. I've been asked this before. Do I have? I watch boxing on TV, a couple TV shows. I really lead a very non-eventful life when I'm not playing. Uh, I don't build model cars. I don't do anything of that nature. No, I think it was said best by Jesse Ed Davis. He goes, sitting around with the day off is just sitting around waiting for another chance to play. That's pretty much it. And I'm out on the road. When I get home, my wife Lenora has to get on my case for, hey, it's about time you go in there and practice a little bit, because when I get home, I rarely touch the guitar, and it's very strange. And she says, you're coming up on a tour, you got to get. She's right, and
Well,
I go in there and I dab away at it, trying to get my hands back into shape, and so I got to do this again. But unfortunately, there's really not anything else I do but play, and I still have a love for playing.
well, there's nothing unfortunate about it. It's just personal choice for many people. Now, for this is pretty much the whole thing about the interview. It's quick, fast, and sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's less. But I always ask the same question last.
Sure.
And the question is off the wall. It's basically, what's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish?
Yeah. Now, for
Wow.
myself, for myself, it could be anything depending on what I have available. But I mean, for some people, it's been sushis, others tacos, others pizza. It all depends on what you prefer. If is there anything that you enjoy eating every single time, or that you've got a craving for every single time?
Well, good Mexican food is definitely in the running there. Good, really good Mexican food, which is most people of Latin heritage, Mexican heritage. They're usually they have their favorite restaurant at home, and they have pick out ones on the road. I mean, if you're going to go to Austin, Texas, and talk to any of the guys down there, Jimmy Vaughn will tell you this is the best place, and Sue Foley will tell you this is the better place. It's I love food. That's my biggest problem. I love food. I love sushi. I do. But but a good Mexican food meal is always good to me. Always attractive. I say,
Okay.
yeah, I want to go do that.
Well, that's good to know. And folks. This is the short interview between me and Coco. Do you have anything else you want to release or tell us prior to ending the session?
Yannick, I'm just grateful. I want people to know how grateful I am that I actually have another album out and I got another chance to play. As the years get old, as you get older, you really start to search for gratitude, because you got less time ahead of you than you do have behind you. So
That's
kind of
true.
we're just very grateful that my band is really good. I'm enjoying my band's company. I think you're going to enjoy seeing the show. Renee Beavers is a great drummer, great singer as well. Nathan Brown on bass, just exquisite, and Jeff Paris has brought so much to my band, and I'm just excited. I can't wait to get out there and just have fun with these guys. We have a ball. We don't really worry too much about perfection. We kind of just go out there and see what happens for the night. It's kind of like throwing paint up against the wall and see what you get.
Well, that's encouraging, and the fact that I get to see your face with that little crinkle smile about talking about this, I'm so grateful that you took the time for this, and I'm also very happy that you're still performing. It would be a sad day the day that you put down the guitar and don't do anything. But that said, folks, this is it. This is the end for me, anyways. Coco, I hope you have a wonderful tour, and that nothing goes wrong, and that the vehicle that you decided to bring under your wing to bring you to places is solid and doesn't let go at any point in time.
Yeah, it stays in one piece for a little while. Yeah. But Yannick, I
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And, let's get together. We got to go get together when we get up there.
Well, hopefully, one of these days, I'm hoping that you'll come over to the Harvest Festival over in Fredericton.
I'd be honored. I'd love to. Someday they'll have me there. I'll do it. I love it. Long live the blues, and nothing but love and health to everybody.
Okay, Coco. Well, have a nice evening.
You
Thank you
do as
very much.
well.